Hi, in this video I'm going to share coding software programming fundamentals, the building blocks which is the same for almost all programming languages. First, keep in mind that a piece of code or software is always processing input into meaningful output by taking action. Let's use a calculator. For example, we are processing numbers using mathematical formula to produce a resulting number. Now, notice that when we use a calculator, we follow some steps. We click on the number, in this case 2. We click on operator sign, plus. We click on another number, 3. We click on the equal sign, signaling that we want to process the numbers with the chosen operator. Then we receive the result. Now, what's happening inside the calculator, the software of the calculator, is as follows. First, we receive a number. Okay, from the input, we have a number, which is the number 2. Now, inside the software, it's actually stored into a variable. Let's call it x. Okay, and then we press on an operator sign from the input, right? If I remember correctly, it was the plus sign. Okay, so this means we are going to do addition. Okay, then we receive another number from the input. Okay, in this case it's the number 3. Okay, again, same like number 2, we store this into a variable, but we store it into a different variable. Okay, we don't store it into x. Let's say we store it into y. Okay, and then we input. Okay, the system receive an equal sign. Okay, equals. Okay, receive a equal sign, which signifies that we want to process x plus y. This is 2 plus 3. Okay, and then it will assign the value, the result, into a variable. Let's call it z. And since the calculation or action is done, 2 plus 3 is 5, so z will hold the value of 5 automatically, no need from the input. Okay, now the system will then output the result, which is in this case is stored in the variable z, into the output. Okay, in this case it's output 5. Okay, we say here that's the output 5. Okay, now if you notice, we have data and processes here. Okay, do you know which ones are data and which one is the process? Okay, I'm assuming you guessed correctly. The data are the two inputs, 2 and 3, as well as the resulting output, which is 5. Now, if you see closely, they are all inside a variable. 2 is stored in x, 3 is stored in y, and 5 is stored in z. Okay, and the process is the addition. In this case, we use the plus sign, so it's addition 2 plus 3. Okay, now every data inside the software, inside the system, needs to have an identifier or a marker, and in the programming language it's called a variable. Okay, now this is the basic, very basic steps of programming. We do it step by step. From step 1, we receive the input 2, put into variable x. We receive the plus sign, where we'll do the addition. Then we receive another input 3, we store into variable y, and then we receive the equal sign, where we do the calculation 2 plus 3, x plus y. Okay, and result is z. We store in variable z equals 5, and then we output the result or the value of the variable z. Okay, now as things get more complex, okay, if you see the calculator, this is not just the addition. There are multiplication, division, subtraction, and all the other stuff. We'll have some I call it the control structure. Okay, we have the branching and the looping to help us process the data. Okay, so 2 plus 3 or x plus y is only one process. If we want to do multiplication or you want to do subtraction, we have to like make a copy of this, okay, similar to this. The only difference is the plus becomes the minus, becomes the multiplication, and becomes the division. Okay, that's the only difference, is the sign. So in this case we can do like the branching. Okay, branching, or known as conditional, is when we process the data based on certain condition. So when the input is plus, we do addition. When the input is minus, we do the subtraction, etc. Okay, so that's about little about conditional. Looping is known as iteration. It's when we have a process that's repeated multiple times. In this calculator case, maybe we don't discuss the looping. And one final thing about the control structure is as the code grows bigger, right, we need to simplify things, and we use what is called a function. Part of the control structure, which is basically a group of code together, and we put it into a container called a function. Okay, we'll dive deeper later into the control structures, but for now we'll just focus on the data and process and how software or the system or the computers process the input. In this case, we use the simple calculator example. Okay, so I want this video to be really short, bite size, so I explain a single concept in its video. Okay, now, so for the summary, data is usually the input and the result of the process, and always be assigned to a variable. Okay, so 2, 3, and 5 is the data, and it must always be stored in the variable x, y, and z. Okay, now one about the process is that we have to define all the process ourselves. Okay, we cannot just do magically, like expect the software to if you input multiplication and we never write the code for the multiplication, it will multiply itself. That will never happen. Okay, that's why there's conditional. We process this operator sign. If it's plus, we do the addition. If it's minus, we do the subtraction. But we have to write the code. Okay, so it's like let's make a copy of this. Okay, so if we change this to minus, like we have another piece of code here to minus 3, and z is not 5 because it's minus 1. Okay, that's what will happen. But basically we have one process and this is another process. Okay, the same for multiplication, we need to write another process here. Okay, and we do know the process, like there are only two here, addition, subtraction. Then the calculator will only works with addition, subtraction. Cannot do multiplication, cannot do division, cannot do any other things. Now, one thing to note is that there are a lot of other mathematical formula here. Okay, and while most programming languages have built-in support for basic math, like you can just do 2x plus y or 2 plus 3, then you will find the result. But for more complex things like sinus, cosinus, and tangent here, some programming languages may not support it out of the box, in which case we have to like do it ourselves. Okay, sinus have a formula, okay, and we can basically put it ourselves. Okay, from the, because in the beginning, like if you, I don't know if you study or know a bit about math, you start with addition and then subtraction, multiplication, division, and with the abstraction we will go into more complex things. Okay, so that's it for this video. Thank you very much. Happy coding.